altrimenti io vorrei chiedere ancora al regista, sono 24 anni se non sbaglio che lei lavora con la stessa sceneggiatrice, cioè tantissimi, credo che siano 24 anni, così ho letto, non so se è giusto. Volevo capire come funziona il lavoro tra di voi, ecco, proprio praticamente come avete fatto a lavorare così tanti anni insieme, come fate a scrivere queste storie insieme?
Well, wait a minute. I don't know where you read what you read, but first of all, it's been longer than 24 years. It's been closer to 40 years. And secondly, there have been other scriptwriters that I've worked with and collaborated with, and I have myself also been a scriptwriter on some of our films. So Ruth Jamvala has not always been with me, but she's been with me for most of our films, and I suppose for the films that are most appreciated and most loved. And she herself is a fiction writer, a very good fiction writer, with many novels to her credit, and many, many short stories which are published in various magazines. And so she doesn't, when, for instance, she is going to adapt a well-known, let's say a famous or celebrated classic novel of some kind, she doesn't, she reads it she has a very sharp, takes a very sharp look at it. She sees what its defects are, for instance, defects that would have to do with making a film. And she's just not down on her knees in front of it, worshipping it. She's looking at it as a piece of work that needs, or the original novel as a piece of work that needs some changes of one kind or another, and additions, cuts, and so forth. And her, the way we work together is that if I've read a book that I like and I think I'd like to make it into a film, and if Ismail was also willing to make it into a film, then I would give it to her and she would read it, and sometimes she would say, no, this isn't of interest to me, I don't want to do this. And then we'd have to go somewhere else or abandon it, because there just wasn't time to, and she didn't want to do something. And so that's the way it was. And she would take the book, and I would usually mark it up, and there were passages that I particularly liked, and I would write sometimes, I must have this, I must have that, and so on. And she would work on her own, apart from me. And then she had a script, and I would read it, and then we would start to work together. And eventually we had a workable script. That's the way we work. Sometimes we would work in another way, though. She would ask me to do the adaptation first, and I would do it. And then at that point, she would more or less abandon the book, and she would work from my screenplay. So she would add a lot of things or suggest that we cut things and so forth in my screenplay, and we would work that way. Sometimes she would, as I say, she would work directly from the book, or sometimes she would work from the first draft of the screenplay, which had been done by me.
C'è ancora una domanda qui? Prego.
It's a question for Mr. Ivory about Mother Nature, gauchos and cows and bulls. In the first place, these Argentinian locations for Uruguay are as beautiful as exuberant. It was a difficult task to deal with them. Was Mother Nature rebellious? If the gauchos were real ones, and how was to deal with so many cows and bulls, and mostly when they hit the car?
So many what?
Bulls and cows and animals.
Oh. No, it was what was difficult to deal with cars running off the road and turning upside down, sometimes with an actor in the car. That happened sometimes. That was difficult because the roads in the back parts of Argentina are often not paved, and we can get into real trouble. No, we didn't have a problem with cows and so forth. Yes, those were real gauchos, and those were their cows. And what was the first question? Not really. I mean, it was hot. If you wanted, it was the hottest time of the year when we were there. But on the other hand, we were working on the Plata River, so there were a lot of cool breezes, and it wasn't too impossible. But it was really the Argentine summer, which comes in the middle of our winter.
You want to add something?
That Charlotte Gainsbourg was very cool in the car. I looked at her and I said, "Are you not afraid when all these cars will hit the car?" And she wasn't, but I was terrified. I felt the cars coming towards the car. I didn't like it very much, but she was very cool. She didn't mind. She smoked a cigarette. She said, the cars.
No, it was like when she jumped in the river for that shot with the gondola, and everyone's, they brought so many boats around and people to save her. But honestly, it was okay.
Va bene, allora il nostro tempo finisce qui, grazie a tutti e grazie ai nostri ospiti.